Okay, so I'm going to take you on a little trip around the garden this morning. It's a very, very bright and intense day. It's quite hot this morning, maybe 24 degrees, 25 degrees. We've not had any rain for a long while, except a little bit of drizzle yesterday. So everything is looking a bit scorched, and colours and plants that I'd expected to be in bloom by now haven't even started. So if I just take you around to the left, I will show you the poor hanging basket on the wall, which is very, very dry. I've been unable to water. We have a pair of robins nesting in there, and checked this morning, they've got 2 little chicks. So we'll move on quickly so as not to disturb them. Down on the front patio here, I've got some new plants last year. There's a bottle brush. I was looking for something that could sustain very dry conditions. It gets scorching here on the south facing wall. There's a geranium there on the left that I did manage to keep from last year, so I'm quite pleased about that. You're coming round the corner to really the convalescent corner. Things are doing not so well around here, but that could be because it's exceptionally hot and dry. I need to find a better place for them. Fruit bushes, which were bought on an impulse when I thought I was going to be able to put them in this original garden. I didn't like to throw them away. I've put them in pots, and they'll give us enough probably combined for one little pie later on in the year. The blackberries seem to be doing okay, and there's one little string of red currants coming. Oh, tomatoes, yes, now they're doing quite well. They've put on a spurt this last few days. They're doing great. They're money makers, so I hope to have a few pounds off them if this weather keeps up. There's no reason I shouldn't. And then there's one poor little gooseberry stuck on the end here, and enough probably just to fill one tiny little pie. Round the corner, yes, poor old rhubarb, which was repotted this spring, so it's not done much for me. I think I've probably killed it. The potting shed, great, yeah, well, everybody's got one of them. What's in here? Nothing. There's a few baby leeks on the floor here, which I've transplanted the other day from cells, so I mustn't forget to water them. That's what I tend to do. I'm really pleased with this iris this year. It's done beautifully well. Last year I thought I'd lost it, but it obviously likes these warm conditions. And a rose that I originally bought for Dave's dad. We brought up from Cardiff when we had to move him. And that's doing okay. I'm not good at getting things to grow up things, so I've probably pruned that very badly. Anyway, there we are. And moving on, just shrubs and a little tree sapling that I've just left grow. Too nice. I think it's a rowan. Then we've got a Henry eye, gosh, I've forgotten the name of it, honeysuckle Henry eye, which is a bit of a thug, but I'm hoping that's going to grow nicely there and cover that horrible piece of brown fencing. Does that. And then in the front here, which has been lovelier this spring, it's a witch hazel, and then a couple of other shrubs and things. And on the back there, that lovely dark foliage is a Montana that's actually just gone over. It's been so beautiful in the last few weeks. It's been absolutely magnificent. And this lovely plant that I'm just walking past here did have beautiful, beautiful flowers as well. Blush pink. It's a Magnolia stellata. That's grown really well this year. So yeah, viburnum, tinus, and this is the sort of, yeah, what was a bit of a tip of a corner, but we've made it now into something a little bit better. I found this piece of sculptural wood on the beach, so I thought we'd bring it here, and it stands nicely in that corner and makes a little bit of a feature. Spotted laurels around, and this is a new border that we put in, my friend and I, this year, so with help and advice from her. Yeah, things are moving on. They've come really well, except my poor little Pyrrhus, which took a battering when we had frost last week. Despite this being May, I was quite disappointed when I came out to see that. But I've given it a bit of feed, some sequestrian, and it does seem to have perked up a little bit. That there's a lovely camellia that flowers in November. I can't remember the name, but it has lovely little rose-like flowers, very not too showy, quite indiscreet, quite discreet. And behind it is a hydrangea. So that's taken off this year and is growing up the fence nicely, which is great. And you can just see there what remains of the Montana. Lovely. Overhead is a lovely elder. I have to keep in control. It actually belongs to the neighbours at the school, but it can be a bit rampant, and it overhangs this garden, but does give us a little bit of shade at least. And then along the border we've got a lavender and a wigelia, which has been really nice. It's just going over, and that choicea is doing really well. And this too, this lovely white Montana in this case, that's the first year it's really done anything. It's only been in a couple of years at any rate, so I didn't expect too much from it, but it's doing very nicely. There we are. So the border is coming on really well. Thank you, Michelle. And my alder, I love my little alder. I had originally an apple tree in that position. I came out one morning to find it actually floating. So I realised it was a spot where I needed to plant something that was happy in the wet, and that certainly likes its place. So moving around, we come to the little sort of springboard of this one really. It's the first place the sun hits in the spring. Yeah, lots of things going on there. I'm quite pleased with that this year, although there's a bit of a space at the back. Yeah, nice little geranium tucked away in the front. I hope that fills that space if it gets a chance. And then some hostas. It's quite a dark, wet place in the winter. That fern is gorgeous. I absolutely love that fern. And then I have a cordyline at the back there. Is it a cordyline? Might not be. But that's lovely. It has sort of modified bracts in pink in the spring. And everything looks lovely in green. The seed heads you can see are those of fritillaries. Nice hosta, and luckily this year we haven't had too many slugs, so they're actually coming. And again, a lovely geranium. That is so pretty. I love the fluffy leaves. And then here we have a eating apple tree. It's a coccyx. It's not doing awfully well because it's probably root bound, but I don't want to get it too big. And then a few other little bits and pieces down the front here. Hopefully that perpetual sweet pea will do nicely. And then again another little apple tree, which is a nice cooking apple tree, little Granny Smith. Now we come to the working end. I've got some vegetables here, sheltered from the heat of the sun today. Peas in the front. I just filled the border at the back with some potatoes, early potatoes, which look to me as though we might be able to think in terms of getting them out very soon. Peas are doing well. In between the peas I've got 3 cabbages that a friend gave me as little babies, and some beetroot growing there. Once the potatoes are up, the idea is that I can then use that for growing other things. That's where the leeks will go, and some of the things for winter, perhaps later on, some garlic and maybe I don't know, some overwintering brassicas of some description. This is my beautiful clematis. That is lovely this year. First time that's really done much. Obviously, at last I've found the right space and the right plant. And what we got, oh yes, is the working end really. Water butts, compost. And in front another raised bed with runner beans, 2 courgette plants, and under the fabric is loads of little lettuce. I think I'm going to be rather inundated with lettuce. Goodness, they are getting big. Yep, there's just some normal green floppy things, and the other side are Lolo Rosso. There we are, so that's the way around. So, yep, the other side of the patio. There we are, that's the sitting end. And then in the middle of the garden is a big bed, which isn't brilliant this year because again it's taken a knock with the heat of the sun. I wish you could have smelly vision here. These iris are absolutely fabulous. The smell of them is lovely, really spicy. And unfortunately this clematis does what they like to do, which is to flower the sun side. So that means I can't actually see these lovely flowers from the patio. But there we are. That's the big main bed. All sorts of stuff growing. I tend to let them do what they want. If something self-seeds, I just let it go. There has been a few losses, which is natural from last year's lots and lots of wet to this year's intense heat. I can't wait for that lovely lovely geranium to come in the middle there. It has sort of very vivid electric blue flowers. Yeah, the foxgloves are self-seeded. I'll just let them do themselves. The back here, just leave them in and let them grow. And again, I wish you could have smelly vision. This is beautiful. This is fennel. This is, can't remember. Somebody will fill me up. Nice red hot pokers. I hope they're going to do good because I need something there to just zing out against all this purple. It seems to be dominantly purple in the garden. There's self-seeded Love in the Mists coming there. I shall just leave them. Some things need a good water, but I don't water if I can help it, otherwise you make the plant quite weak. It's necessary to let it deal with itself. There we are. Coming round to my pretense of an obelisk, this end. The rose in the middle seems to be doing better this end than the other end, so it's the soil. It's surprising the difference in soil this end from the other end of the border. When we dug this, we found that really hard this end, with lots of old debris from buildings, from the building of the estate. Lots of bags of cement, all that sort of thing left over. And some lovely more iris. I do love these. They are just fabulous. I wish they'd bloom all summer. They don't. The little things along the front of the border are actually now starting to go over. Little plants are finding it hard along the edge in this heat. This is my lovely geranium here. That'll be full of blue flowers before long. That actually comes from my mother's garden, and she brought that to her new garden from her old house. And she reckoned she planted the original plant in about 1943. So that plant means home to me. It's a Magnificat. There we are. So, yeah, another nice geranium. They're really worth their salt, perennial geraniums. They just go on, and all you need to do is treat them rough and they'll keep coming. Yes, big spaces in the middle here where there's been some loss. But yeah, with a bit of luck, you get that filled up with something when I can get to